All right, we are in lesson 01B part 2, where we will be reading An Inhabited Land. When European explorers reached North America, they found it was already inhabited by people. Since some explorers wrongly thought they had found India, they called these inhabitants Indians, but we now know that is incorrect and offensive. Today, we refer to the groups of people who were born here and didn't descend from European settlers, First Nations. When European settlers began to migrate to North America, they knew they would be sharing the land with its indigenous inhabitants. Like the groups of people in other large pieces of land, these people belonged to different tribes or nations. Not every tribe lived in every area of North America. First Nations around Windsor. Windsor has been built on the traditional territory, which extends across the Detroit River into areas of Michigan, of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations. This confederacy includes three distinct nation groups who were each part of the Anishinaabe people, the Ojibwe, Ottawa, and Potawatomi. During this read aloud, you won't be watching the video, but when you are done the read aloud, I would expect you to go back into the tab and watch this video yourself about the Three Fires of Michigan. Treaty people. Once settlers began to arrive in North America, then called Upper Canada, the two different worldviews about how to live and how to relate to the land became apparent, but not right away. One of the biggest ways this difference was seen was in the creation of treaties that the Europeans made with the indigenous nations. The white settlers asked to have the land, and in exchange, they gave the native peoples money or objects of value or use, such as medicine, clothing, jewelry, or weapons. The problem was, First Nations people didn't have an understanding that anyone could own the land, and didn't realize what they were actually doing was agreeing to allow the white men to limit the places the native people could live and hunt and pursue their traditional way of life. Canada is still feeling the negative repercussions of the treaties on the identity and mental health of our Indigenous peoples to this day. Giving away Windsor. This is a painting taken from one of the links on these sites. These are hot linked that you can go and click to find more information. So like when we were up here, all of these would take you to a different spot. If you wanted more information, you're not required to go there. Just if you're interested, that is there for you. The Upper Canada Treaty that saw the Three Fires Confederacy give away huge portions of our region to the white settlers was officially called Treaty 2, or the McKee Purchase. It was signed on May 19, 1790 by representatives of the Crown, you can see them here in their uniforms, and various First Nations. You can see the chiefs and the leaders there. It is the southernmost Upper Canada Treaty. The territory described in the written treaty includes Point Pelee, Canada's southernmost point, which many of you may have visited. There were over 50 signatories to this treaty, including settlers and Indigenous leaders. The treaty payments included cloth and linen, tools for hunting and cooking, looking glasses, combs, ribbons, and laced hats. That's what they were given in order to give away the land ownership to the European people. Current communities in the area also include Windsor, Chatham, Kent, and part of London, Ontario, in addition to Point Pelee. The treaty deal was that they would surrender tracts of land in exchange for money, valuable wares, and merchandise. This treaty took all of the land except for 2 tracts which were specifically reserved for the natives, and that's where we get the word reservation or native reserves. This is a plaque of the McKee's Purchase in Chatham, Kent. It says, in May 1790, Alexander McKee, who was deputy agent of the British Indian Department, you see their error in the name, and the principal chiefs of the Ottawa, Potawatomi, Chippewa, and Wyandot, that's the American side, where we get our street named Wyandotte, negotiated a treaty whereby the British Crown acquired title to what is now southwestern Ontario. This treaty completed the process begun with Niagara Treaties of 1781 and 1784, with the result that most of the Ontario Peninsula was soon opened to British and Loyalist settlement. And that was our question on the L. Why did people come here? This is part of the reason. The 1790s was only the beginning of the treaties that the settlers' governments would make with the First Peoples of Ontario. You can find out more here.